Hey everybody, it's Andy here. I just wanted to tell you about something cool that happened. So a few months ago, me and the lads, Colin, Eli and Hal, went on a holiday, a Lorecrimes holiday. And we chose a mystical land to explore together that none of us had ever been to. We explored the mystical land of Ireland. And when I say we went to Ireland, we went to its capital, Dublin, and we had a grand old time. And thanks to all of you supporting the show, we've been able to make a little holiday visit for all of us, and hopefully this will be the first of many. But what did we do in Dublin? Well, to start off, we began in the UK, from my journey waking up at 6 in the morning, which is very early for me.
Oh dear, good morning. Today is Monday, the 12th of May, and I'm about to go to Ireland, off to Dublin, to meet up with my friends. And it's very early. I never wake up at this time of day, and yet here we are. 6 in the morning. It's gonna be fun, but my word, I gonna need some coffee.
Now it's worth pointing out that I don't know how time zones work very well. So initially the plan was we would all meet on the same day, but I don't know how the sun works. So here's an example. Me and Hal were in London. We went to, I believe it was Heathrow Airport, and we went to the west. Ooh. We weren't particularly far from Ireland, so an hour's flight and we're already there, and the time zone doesn't really change much. However, if you are someone who lives in, say, I don't know, America or Canada, the sun does some weird things when you travel by air. Namely, well, long story short, me and Hal got there a day before Eli and Colin. But that's okay. It basically gave us a bit of a chance to look around the immediate area, figure out where we could get some shopping done for groceries, some little places to pop off for breakfast, make sure that we secured the Airbnb, and we had a bit of a frolic in Dublin with just the two of us. It was very romantic.
Look, it's Hal. Hello, Hal. What's going on? What are you doing?
Should we see the outside area?
Look at that.
View.
Holy heck, it's a world out there. That's where Eli will sleep. Crisps!
And this is also the beginning of my habits that I'm going to try and make of any time we go on trips together, of terrorizing Hal, taking a photograph of him midway through a munch of whatever he's eating for dinner, lunch or breakfast, because it's funny. So a day later, we were united. The whole gang was assembled, and it was a really good time. We took Eli and Colin to their very first full Irish breakfast, which is, if you don't know, plagiarism of the full English breakfast, where instead of black pudding, they use white pudding, and that's basically the only difference. And maybe the variety of bread is slightly different, but it's a full English. You can't have that, Ireland. You've got plenty of stuff. You've got Guinness, alcoholism. It was the first of many things for Colin and Eli, particularly one elusive confectionery that Colin had never had before. He got to try out for the first time, the Jaffa cake.
Hey Colin, so you've been a big fan of the Yogscast for many years.
Indeed.
You finally got your hands on a Jaffa cake. What's your thoughts?
It doesn't know if it wants to be like fruity or chocolatey or like bread.
Is it a biscuit or a cake?
I think it's more of a biscuit.
There's a whole
Controversial.
controversy about this.
What's your
Many
thoughts?
people, that's a biscuit.
It looks like a cookie to me,
Look.
whatever that means.
Well, all right, look.
Did you want to try one just to see?
We need to see
This is very popular.
We need to see the reaction.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's like three things at the same time.
Yeah, like, look. If someone says, "Do you want to have a cake?" and they hand me that, I'm upset.
Also notice the
Like,
wine
that-
bowl
that is
next
not
to
a
the Jaffa
cake.
cakes.
Yeah, what?
Well,
Are you telling me someone says they get a birthday cake ready, right? They give you that. That's a problem.
How a cupcake is a cake. It's like a mini cake.
Well, yeah, but that's like a mini cake. That's not a cake. There's no frosting. There's no like.
It doesn't crunch like a biscuit.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, but that's closer to a biscuit than it is a cake.
well, with the argument of the British ages concluded, score out of 10?
You give it a 7.
7.
That's pretty
I
good.
think that's 7.5.
I'm
It's pretty good.
happy.
I
Like,
like
it
it.
tastes good. It's just like I
I
don't.
think it's really mid.
Really?
It's like big. It's
Kill him.
It's
Kill
the,
him
it's like
now.
the box standard though. Like
I
that.
mean-
That's like normal. That's literally the 50, like 0.5 out of whatever. Like that's the 5 out of 10.
Well, yeah, but like in America, we don't have that. So
Yeah.
it's different. It's new. It's different.
Also, Eli freaked out about how much things cost.
It was a cheap grocery trip.
Dude,
Much cheaper than
those
Canada.
eggs were not expensive.
18 eggs for $3.75.
Whoa!
Unbelievable. I
So many
paid
omelets.
$6 for 12 eggs at home.
Whoa.
So we had a lot of fun. The first day or so, understandably, Eli and Colin were quite tired. They'd been on a multi-hour flight, it'd been 10 hours or something like that each, so they were pretty knackered. So we did some things like we played some Magic the Gathering. I'd never played before, and I played for the first time. Eli beat me, but that's only because he was not going easy on me, and he's a naughty man. We had some drinks. We watched a lot of 1,000 Ways to Die. We watched some battle reports and that. We also watched the entire Rush Hour trilogy because why not? Oh, we're exploring Dublin. We're having a bit of fun exploring a different country that we've never experienced the culture for before. Let's watch Rush Hour. Why not? We also watched Puss in Boots, the second film that I heard was really good, and that was a good laugh. And I also should point out that Eli, because of the muscle monster that he is, did not slack for a single day in regards to his training. He did not miss a single day of training. And there was a fun little aside where he had this gigantic jug of water with some concoction spilled within it to help his muscle growth, or his, I don't know, something about muscles and stuff. And I looked at him and he had this thing in his hands and I said, "Hey Eli, what have you put in that to make it all cloudy and such?" And he looked me dead in the eye, gave a wry smile and softly said, "Come." It was a beautiful moment. So after a day of Colin and Eli recuperating from their flights and us getting the vibe of the holiday, what pace we were going to go, we did a bit of the typical touristy sightseeing. We went to St. Patrick's Cathedral, which was really good fun. They had lots of cool stained glass windows. They had lots of little activities you could do inside. There were tons of tourists, a lot of American tourists. You know, you're walking through and say, "Oh my God, look at the stained glass windows. That's beautiful." And I'd occasionally glance at Colin and he would have a raised eyebrow, and it was quite amusing. We got some gifts for the family and all that. We went and checked out some places that were closed, some places that were open. We went to a museum that had a bunch of bog people. There was some Irish, longboat stuff and medieval stuff, jewelry from way back when. There was a lot of interesting things to do. So we did a lot of the typical stuff, seeing certain monuments, going to certain places. We went to see the Book of Kells, which was really good fun. They had like a bunch of interactive areas where you could learn a bunch of the history, although most of it was people just kind of looking at it and going, and then walking to the next bit and going, yes. They had this gigantic floating globe thing in an old library where they used to store the Book of Kells and all these other artifacts that the university there looks after, which was quite cool. We met some deer when we went to a local park, and there was just a bunch of deer there. And fun fact, I went to see a friend of mine I know from the comedy circuit in London, and she said, did you get any ticks? And I was like, oh. Eli briefly became a Disney princess, so that was quite fun. We went to the Guinness storehouse, and although I'm not a big Guinness drinker, I was outed because there's a bit where there's a tasting, and their whole pitch was, well, if you don't really like Guinness, we'll tell you how to drink it properly, as if there's anything more to it than putting it in your mouth and letting the taste buds do the job for you. But, they said, okay, hands up who doesn't like Guinness, and I raised my hand defiantly, and then they told me off for being a Philistine, and we couldn't even take the shot glasses home with us because they were too nice. They were too good for us. We also went to the very tippy top of the Guinness storehouse after checking out the many levels of different things you could observe. There was lots of weird stuff in that place. And when we got to the very top, there was lovely panoramic views. The only thing they served was Guinness, and it took ages to pour, even with multiple people pouring just Guinness and having prep areas just to pour pint after pint after pint. It took 10 minutes to get a pint for each of us. And I'm not much of a Guinness drinker. I don't know about Hal or Eli. Colin was feeling a bit weary because of a bit of drinking me and him did a few days prior. But, we all gave it a good quarter of the pint effort. And then I said, I don't really like Guinness, and put it down. and then we all left having all drunk about a pint between the four of us. We did check out a local Warhammer shop, which was fun. Didn't know who we were, because of course they wouldn't. We're just some goofballs on the internet. But it was good fun. We had a chat about stuff. We had a look at some miniatures that had been painted there. That was good. We met the elusive meme master himself, Dreadnon. That was great fun. Although he had to travel down from the Republic of Ireland, and we went for a meal with him. Typically, we went to one place. They were busy. They were full. I think it was a Friday at the time. So we went to one place, no tables, another place. And after like 10 minutes plus of walking and checking and me going up to the reception and going, do you have any tables? And they, no. Piss off. We eventually found a nice place that was like a steakhouse sort of deal. We all had some really good fun. We had a chat with Dread, and then he had to go home because obviously like he has stuff to do. And of course it was a lovely time meeting up with Dreadnon in person for the first time. We've done a few different videos of him on Lorecrimes, and it was great to see him. However, because of mitigating circumstances, Hal couldn't stay for the entire week. After a good chunk of the holiday, about 5 days, he had to pop back home. So for the last few days, it was just me, Eli, and Colin, but we made do. We wanted to explore a little bit outside of Dublin city centre, so we went a little bit towards the east of the coastal area. I saw on the Google Maps there was a hotel that had been converted from a castle, so I thought, we're into Warhammer, we'll go visit a castle, that'd be fun. We went for a little bit of a trek in the blistering heat, and we got there, and this was an interesting thing that happened in the holiday. We're at this hotel, and it's very swish, and we're just there to have a quick look around and a pint. A guy in a full-on suit meets us, like a concierge / member of staff, waiter, etc., like head of house. We're all wearing, like, Eli's in a muscle shirt, I'm in just t-shirt. We're all not looking much more than, not even smart casual, just casual. And he looks at us and he goes, hello, gentlemen. Not in this accent, obviously. He goes, hello, I'm not going to do it. He goes, hello, gentlemen, what do you want? And I was like, oh, can we just have a pint? We sat outside on a nice table area. Absolutely professional. Amazing place. Let me have a look. What were they called? It was Clontarf Castle Hotel. We went to Clontarf Castle Hotel. Staff were brilliant, absolutely lovely. And then we had a trek back and we went, we'll go and get some food in the town centre. We'll have a good time. And then something interesting happened. We got our way back to the train station. And while I was standing on the side of on the platform waiting for the train with Eli and Colin, a guy came up to me with a cast on his arm and a big cut on his forehead. Went, oi, do you want to fight 50 quid? And I said, no. As much as I wanted to have a real life Yakuza Like a Dragon encounter where I would be the victor and everyone would clap and say, wow, what a cool dude. I didn't want to get in a fight in a cultural hub where that probably wouldn't go down in the papers, nor, seeing some internet drama with the Remembrancer gets in a fight with a innocent bystander in Ireland. It wouldn't have been worth it. Although it was quite funny that I reckon he picked me out because he could hear my accent. There's a lot of animosity still in Ireland from my experience of people who have British sounding accents, even though I'm not technically English. It was quite amusing. So we went around a few other places. We checked out some stuff and we were advised to go to this famous bar called, I believe it's called the Long Hall. And the Long Hall is supposed to be this like revered pub establishment in Dublin, quite famous. We went in and they wouldn't let us have a drink because Eli was wearing a muscle shirt, complete opposite of the hotel staff who were dressed to the nines and were absolutely accommodating. We sat down in a nook. We weren't even like it's quite a narrow bar because that's why it's called the Long Hall. And we just sat down. I went to the bar and said, hey, and he went, are you with them? And I'm like, yeah. And he said, no, dress code. Ugh. Classism is alive and well in Dublin. What a bunch of... We also did some other things, like we had to test the taste buds of Colin and Eli with a culinary delight of the UK and Ireland, being fish and chips. Apparently the place we went to is quite famous for fish and chips because they have this sign opposite the counter where it's like, hey, look, Bruce Springsteen and all these famous people have had fish and chips from here, so we gave it a go. We went to this little table by a bar, and I will point out there was a big bar, and it was red and black as the design scheme, and there were these yellow benches next to it, and I thought, oh, this must be just public benches because they don't have any similarity to this establishment. I guess we'll just have our fish and chips here, and then when we're done, we'll put it in the bin. Until a member of staff came out and said, hey, you can't eat your fish and chips here. It's part of the property of the pub. And the pub wasn't busy. There was no one in the pub. There was no one at the benches. I didn't think it was a problem, but apparently, no. This happened a lot when we were in Dublin. There was a lot of you can't be here, you can't do this stuff, which was peculiar. But either way, we found somewhere else to eat our fish and chips. We had a good time. We tried some different pubs, apart from the one that wouldn't let us drink there because lower class scum. And to cap off the weekend, we also attended an electronic dance music night. EDM, if you will. Now, this was the suggestion of Eli, who's a bit of a raver, a dance man. I don't know what you would call him. Sorry, Eli, I don't know what an EDMer? Edma? Are you an Edma? Are you an Edma male? So we went to this place and it was a fun experience. It didn't end until about 3 in the morning. We got there about 11, I think, something like that. We had fun. It was a bit of a bop. I had a dance, Eli had a dance, Colin had a dance. As the night wore on, there was difficulty. We were right at the front and it was difficult to breach the hordes of people. And here's a peculiar thing. All the men in attendance, well, 2/3 of the men in attendance were clones of one another. They all had the exact same haircut and also clothing. They were all wearing white shirts and jeans, and it was odd. It was peculiar. I had a dance with some ladies because Casanova. Although I think they liked the fact that I could do a slut drop, and for a man of my age, I think they found that was amusing. And we also left just before, kick out so that you don't have to go through the throng of people. Again, the bouncer outside told off Eli for wearing a muscle shirt during a hot, sweaty music event, which was also peculiar. I think he told him something like, have some modesty. And I was like, what? He's jealous. He's just jealous that Eli has enormous muscles. And that was basically the cliff notes of what we did in Dublin. It was an absolute lovely time. I had a great time. I'm sure the other guys had a great time as well. Hopefully we can do this kind of stuff once a year or every so often, because it was the first time I'd met Eli in person, so that was great fun. I've met, Colin once before when he came over for Warhammer Fest in person, that is. And me and Hal meet up occasionally, but it was nice to have the full-on gang just having a laugh, having a week off. Although I say a week off, I was doing my Eldar month content, so while we were watching Puss in Boots, I was just, scribbling down research notes from my Kindle, writing about Eldar. Also, here's a fun aside. We watched the film Legend with Tom Hardy, because I think it's a great film. And it was me, Colin, and Eli. And it was funny because it's an English film with English accents, but because their accents are so thick and they're like East London accents, we had to put the subtitles on because Eli and Colin couldn't follow what was going on. They were like, I have no idea what these people are saying, because it's just like, all right, there, I'm Tom Hardy. Oh, I'm playing 2 people. Oh. But it was good fun. And yeah, as far as Dublin goes, I would say it's a pretty solid 7 out of 10 in my opinion. Loved a lot of the sightseeing, loved a lot of the touristy stuff. Just a shame that there was a lot of standoffish people in Dublin. I don't know if that's a Dublin thing or an Irish thing, but there was a lot of times where we were butting heads with people and we weren't doing nothing. I almost got in a fight at a train station. What was that about? We had a lot of fun meals. We went to this one place on the last day. It was a Japanese restaurant, and I had the Naruto special because it was the one that's in the show in the first season, and it was delicious. The best ramen I've ever had in my life. It was lovely. And the staff were lovely. And there was lots of lovely people. But there was also a lot of standoffish people who had a chip on their shoulder. Shout out to the guy who was doing the kind of welcoming stuff in the Guinness storehouse. Shout out to some of the little greasy spoons we went to regularly, especially after a heavy night of playing Magic the Gathering, drinking, and watching 1,000 Ways to Die, apparently. That was good fun. And again, thank you all for your support, because without you, we couldn't have had this lovely holiday together. Never did I imagine when I sent messages to these guys that we would be doing stuff like this, going out and having a holiday, exploring a completely different country with a different culture, and bringing us all together from across the world. It was fantastic. And again, thank you, Dreadnon, for putting up with us for a few hours while we were over. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. We hope you guys enjoy what we're going to cook up in the next few weeks, months, and years. And hopefully we'll do another one of these special holiday trips of the Law Criminals to somewhere else. I believe Hal was the one who picked Dublin because he was like, my dad had a great stag do there. So that was why we picked Dublin. If we're honest, that's why. Because Hal's dad got a fun night in Dublin before he got married, so fair enough. It's good a reason as any. And either way, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.